I'd like to turn to Tiffany Adams, Vice President with the National Association of Manufacturers. Tiffany has been with the National Association of Manufacturers, or NAM, since 1992. She's the primary staff contact, as is the Vice President for Public Affairs there, for NAM's National Public Affairs Steering Committee, a group of 150 leading corporate public affairs and government relations executives from NAM's largest member companies who bolster the association's grassroots efforts. Tiffany, I guess if you had to sum it up, has primary responsibility for NAM's relationships with its grassroots members all across the United States. She did her undergraduate work at Temple University, has become a nationally recognized expert on manufacturing issues, working with her members. And Tiffany, we're just delighted you could be here to provide kind of the big picture view of why these issues are important to your members.
Rob, thank you, and I want to thank my fellow panelists and the audience that's listening in on this webcast. It's interesting. I've been sitting here hearing the very technical and legal side of this issue, and from a manufacturing standpoint, there's lots of folks who think that this may not affect the average manufacturer, but indeed it does. Software piracy, software theft. How do I put this in a way that is clear? It hinders the competitive advantage of manufacturers based in the United States. And we're a group of folks who play hard. We work hard, we follow the rules, and to have other companies stealing our own intellectual property and stealing the opportunity for our companies to continue forward is a huge issue. The NAM got involved with this issue very simply because American manufacturers want to remain competitive. We have folks, we represent 12,000 member companies, from the smallest of manufacturers to the largest of manufacturers. This issue affects us all. We decided to become very active with the National Alliance for Jobs and Innovation. That's the NAJI coalition that is really looking to spearhead this issue, and we're dedicated to it. We have companies who are focused in on the coalition and focused in on trying to help state attorneys generals, folks like my fellow panelists, to get the issue across and to stop this. We've got to address this. We cannot wait any longer. And I'm quite frankly anxious to talk to some of the folks on the phone and get some questions to see how you all see this issue moving forward. Rob, you gave a great example using Embraer, and I've been looking through Emilio's slides this entire time. And as a non-attorney, one of the only non-attorneys on the panel, and particularly our audience is pretty much all attorneys, I want to hear from you all the action plan. What's the action plan? Where do you see this happening? We've talked about it for years. We've looked at it for years. But is this the year that we finally move things forward? Is it a legal fix? Is it a legislative fix? What are the next steps? I know the nation's manufacturers are prepared to speak out. We've been working with a number of companies and quite frankly, working to educate companies on how this issue affects them. There are some who think it may be off to the side, but there are some who see exactly how it hinders their competitiveness. And we want to continue working with those folks. We want to continue educating the nation's manufacturers, and we want to continue educating the nation's attorneys general, because we need to see a push.
One question I had for you, Tiffany, is whether there's a difference, you think, in how important this issue is of stolen IT and the competitive disadvantages that creates. How important it is to large manufacturers versus small manufacturers. Is it more or less important depending on the size of the company?
It's absolutely equal. There's no difference with the smallest of manufacturers, and I think the smallest manufacturer at the NAM has exactly 2 employees. And then on the flip side of that, we have manufacturing companies that have hundreds of thousands of employees. And this issue is equally as important. We are looking at folks who are using this technology and this software to build their business. It's operating the machines. It's connecting them with their supplier base. It's connecting them with their customers and their employees. It is important throughout the business. It's important for their manufacturing processes. And, you know, there's absolutely, just to put a finer point on it, no distinction. This is important to the mom and pop shop and the global manufacturer.
That would be Marlin Steel in
Absolutely.
Baltimore, a wire basket maker active with NAM. Its CEO, Drew Greenblatt, is the chairman of the board of the National Alliance for Jobs and Innovation, which you mentioned. We refer to it as NAJI, N-A-J-I. And it's recently incorporated as a 501c6 trade association. Mr. Greenblatt's involved with it precisely because his small company is seeing its competition use all kinds of unfair competition involving stolen IT to compete unfairly with his company. So the companies are taking action, and thanks to NAM for being involved, and thanks to NAGI for the same.
I would make one note. I think that's part of what NAGI is focused on, is educating the public, educating these various manufacturers and the unwitting defendant on exactly what the implications are for IP theft. You know, there's an expectation on the part of manufacturers that when a competitor isn't playing by the rules, that their government will take action, whether it's from the state side or the federal side. And I think that, you know, there's the rare case out there where folks just don't know that they're doing this. But that's the job, I think, of NAGI and quite frankly, the National Association of Manufacturers, to educate them. So on the technical side, I'll leave it to my fellow panelists. But again, there is an expectation that we will not allow theft to be the norm.